everybody, and welcome to episode 1. What? Episode 1 of Hardcore Survival with Fix from my 1647-day-old world, and just ignore this. This is my buddy. This is my AFK buddy who is going to hang out here on my new Froglet farm while I go do some other things, so I can talk to you about what is going on with me. So this is going to be episode 1 of basically my second channel series from the first channel world. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll get into it here. But I got to head back because I have a lot of work I want to do here. This is a farming episode of Hardcore Survival with Fix here, and I have a lot of farms to build. So I'll see you back on the other side. So let me catch you up on what has been going on. If you've been missing any of my live streams, which, by the way, my last video on the second channel kind of talked about what I'm going to be doing here, because I'm kind of not going to be doing live streams anymore. And the reason is I feel like I just get a lot more done not doing them. But I still miss that sort of talking, you know, that old school Minecraft Let's Play version where you just hit record on the mic and you go to town, and I do miss that. I love it. In fact, actually, I miss it a lot, and that's one thing that I want to get back to in a way, and I guess that's kind of what live streaming is now, but I don't really have the ability to live stream on the regular anymore. It's just not in the cards with my schedule and with the kids and all that kind of stuff. So instead, I had the idea of what if I did basically a live stream but did it in this way, in like video format, so I could kind of collect my thoughts and talk a little bit more concise, though not nearly edited as much as what one of my normal videos is these days. You know what I mean? Now, I do want to say that is going to include seeing a lot of spoilers. So if you're someone who really cares about spoilers, if you really want to see the main 100-day hardcore videos come out and be really blindsided by it, well, then this series might not be for you. But if you don't mind seeing sort of first look and previews and all that kind of stuff, then why not come along and you'll see what I'm working on. Which, by the way, what I'm going to be working on for this next little bit is some landscaping, because I want to build a raid farm in this episode, because if you notice, I don't have a totem of undying anymore. Yeah, I died when I was working on that magma cube froglight farm thing that, boy, I'll tell you what, those things are perilous to build. Really tough. But I managed to get it built, but I did die once. Well, I mean, you know, die with the totem of undying. Luckily not permanently, but I don't have any more totems. That's my last one. So I need to build a raid farm. I know exactly where I want to do it. That's also going to involve some lore and some storyline and all that kind of stuff too. And I think that could be pretty fun to do. These sort of videos are probably not going to be very often a lot of gameplay elements. It's probably going to be a lot of me talking about life and all that kind of stuff while also playing some Minecraft. But I do want to show you where I'm at. So this is New Hope right here. You can see the city of around this area right about there is the ancient city that I worked on, I rehabbed. This is the squid farm, and if you over here, if you follow this sort of over here, spawn is right around like here maybe, I think right around that area up there. Yeah, it's right around 00. Then if you come down here south, you'll see obviously this is the arcane reception coil. These are all the southern farms. This is my dock city, the guardian farm, all that kind of stuff. Now if you go down further south just a little bit, this is where the mangrove forest is, which I've been working on this episode. And right about here, right about there is going to be my raid farm. Now it has to be over 2,000 to be far enough away from the pillager outpost right here, because this is where I get my bad omen effect. So I'll get my bad omen effect right around there, and then I'll come down here and I'll do my raid farm. Now I'm going to do the simplest raid farm ever. I'm not going to do an extreme one. This is a single player world and a hardcore world, so I don't need totems very often, but when I do, I really need one, so that's where I'm going to put it. But to do that, I have a plan to do the lore bit, and we're going to have to landscape this entire little mini savanna in the sort of crescent. Is crescent? No, that's what you, crescent of the mangrove forest. I think it's going to be really cool. So I need to get just down to this little area right around 134, 2011. I did not bring a bed with me, and I think that is going to be a problem because I have a lot of landscaping to do, and I don't really feel like just fighting off mobs the entire time. So I may need to make a trip back to New Hope or somewhere and grab a bed. And what's happening? I see some sheep standing around here, which I do not. Anyway, let me get you caught up with what's going on with the house. Now, I talked about this a decent amount in some of my live streams, but since I'm not going to really be doing that anymore, I thought episode 1 of this weird starting series, starting with full netherite and a bunch of farms and all that kind of stuff, the way most series is start. I thought that this would be a great chance to sort of just catch up on what has been going on and what we've been doing. So my wife and I, when we bought this house around 5 years ago in the greater Pittsburgh area, we decided, hey, you know what? We're going to live here for about 5 or 6 years and then save up money, and then whenever we're ready, we'll redo the floors and the kitchen, like countertops, cabinets, that kind of stuff, And it should be great. That should be basically the only thing we need to do in this house. So we did that. We saved up for a long time, and then when it was time, which is roughly recently, the financial market and all that kind of stuff really helped out with property values soaring and all that kind of stuff, which actually really helped our refinance thing. Look, if you know what I'm talking about the refinancing, a bit cool. If you don't even worry about it. It doesn't really matter. The point is, we were in a good position to do some upgrades on our house. So we found a flooring company that we really liked right around Pittsburgh area here, and everything seemed up and up. And the way the flooring company works is a salesman comes out to your house and takes a look at what you want and sort of does some rough measurement, nothing exact, and then you decide if that's who you want to use, and if it is, then you go later and you pick the flooring that you want, whether it's laminate, hardwood, or vinyl, or even tile or whatever else, and then you order it. But before you order it, they have the actual installer come out to the house. Now this is the key. This is the important part. By the way, I'm breaking all this grass because I want to make this area completely clean and flat and barren. So I'm going to be pulling up a lot of this dirt, in fact, probably most of it, to make this a really flat area. It's all for the war, and you'll find out probably that more in the regular video than you will in this one, but that's okay. Go with me for now. Anyway, so the actual professional installer, now this is the gentleman who would be actually putting it into our house, not the salesman. Came out to the house and he looks around and he's like, I don't know, you got some leveling things here, but he didn't say too much to us. And I was, in fact, very occupied with my boys. So maybe some of that's on me. Maybe I should have been really there, but he wasn't really there to talk to me. He was there to take a look, a lay of the land, get some exact detailed measurements. So we ordered the right amount of flooring and all that kind of stuff. So I went away with it thinking like, okay, so it might be a little bit more work to level everything, no big deal. So we go back there and we are going back and forth between laminate and vinyl, the two different choices. Now the difference is laminate is a very hard, sturdy flooring. They both look like hardwood floor. I mean, you wouldn't really know necessarily that they're not, especially if you get one of the higher end floors. Like you wouldn't really know if it's hardwood or if it's some sort of laminate. They look really, really good these days. Laminate has a little bit more give, so it could be a little more bendy, more flexible. Laminate, not so much. Laminate will basically break if you try to put it over an arc or a high point or something like that. Well, we were told by the salesman when we went in, he's like, yeah, I mean, there might be a little bit of extra work when it comes down to laminate, but honestly, if it were me going back and forth, I would probably just do the laminate, is what he says. So like, okay, good enough. Good. I mean, that's good for us. I personally am a trust the experts guy. If the doctor tells me, hey, this is what I need to do, then that's what I do. I trust the experts. I'm a musician. I'm a trumpet player. If you want to know what a great thing to do on trumpet is, ask me and I will tell you because I'm an expert on that. But I'm not an expert on almost anything else. So basically, I trust the experts. If a scientist who spent their entire life says, hey, this is what you need to do to stop the oceans from flooding your world, then that's what we should do. If the flooring expert says, hey, I would go with laminate myself, then I'll go with laminate, right? You get it? That's me. That's my thing. So we ordered the laminate. Well, it comes time for the actual install. The actual installer comes out to our house and he looks at it. He's like, I can't believe they sold you laminate. I can't believe it. I told them under no circumstances sell you laminate, only sell you vinyl because laminate's not going to work in your house because we have high points in our floor. Our house is about 25 years old, right? So there's some age there, and with that 25 years, some things settle, all that kind of stuff. Your floor isn't an absolute set structure. It does change a little bit over time, and that seems to be like what happened to our house. He said, I told the salesman, do not sell you laminate, and he did. We were not relayed that very crucial, important information. So I said, well, do you think it's going to work? And he says, well, let me take out everything and I will sort of determine if it's going to work or not. Because if I don't want to put in something that isn't going to work, because then you're going to be mad at me and you're not going to be happy with your experience and all that kind of stuff. Which I get. I can take that. Like, I'm happy that he was telling us, in his opinion, the truth. But I'm very upset that the salesman did not relay that very critical information to us. So now already our situation is screwed up because the way that we were going to be putting in our floors, since we're doing all of the first floor flooring, all of it at the same time, is we would basically rip out part of it, like from the front door for maybe 10 feet, 15 feet. And what we do is we slide all the furniture over 15 feet. Allow for the rip out and then allow for the putting in of the new stuff. Then we slide all the furniture 15 feet again. It means we don't have to pack up everything. We don't really have to change floors. We don't have to move stuff heavily. We just have to slide it around. Well, that already changes things because instead of putting in as soon as he tears out, instead now he's just going to tear out everything, which again, I want to reiterate, I respect the installer completely. It's what he's done for 50 years of his life. This dude knows what he's talking about. He is doing what he deems as the right thing for us. I have no issue at all with him. You see where I'm going with this? So already now, all of a sudden, now we're taking out all the floors in our house, in our first floor, all of them, and then leaving basically just subfloor. So as he's taking it out, we find old water damage from basically the previous owners around the front door, around the back door, which is pretty common in a 25-year-old house. You're gonna have a little bit of water damage and stuff like that. So we have to replace some boards. Again, not terribly unexpected, but it's compounded by, we're not just gonna do that right away because we're tearing out everything. So now we're getting all down to subfloor with rotted wood underneath us that we're living in, we're walking on, right? At one point, I'm chasing our dog. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. There's a whole dog aspect to my life that has taken a turn for the both worse and better at the same time. We'll get there. So next, the installer pulls out all the floor and he looks at it. He's like, yeah. So what the problem is, you have high points. You don't have low points. If you have low points, we bring them up with auto filler stuff. Not a big deal. But when you have a high point, you can't bring up everything. Right? Like, you can't bring up the entire floor. So you have two choices. Either you return the laminate and you get vinyl, which has enough give that it will fit over these high points, or you take out all the subfloors, get down to the actual cross beams of the house, and sand them down to their level. That gets structural. That's something a flooring company can't even do. That's like bring in a contractor, and it is big time money, not just a little bit. This is like end of days money, right? So it's not really an option. It's basically a non-starter for us. That's where we're at now. We have to make a decision. So we go back to the flooring company. We say, hey, here's the deal. We have to return this laminate because the installer says this isn't going to work. And he told you that, and you didn't tell us that it wasn't going to work. You said it might be some additional work, not like, oh, this is not going to happen. This is not going to work. So what's going on here? So he looks around. He's like, oh, he never told me that. I was like, well, he said he did. He said he did, and now you're saying he didn't. So I don't know who's telling me the truth, but someone is lying, and you guys need to get your communication here together. Whatever the case is, someone screwed up, and it wasn't me. Regardless, he says, well, so the thing is, if you want to return that laminate, you're going to have to pay a 25% restocking fee. You know the price of floors. They ain't cheap. 25% is a whole bucket load of money, and I am very displeased. Like, extremely displeased. I cannot believe that he takes, basically the salesman, taking no blame at all. Now look, I could have gone ballistic on him. Maybe a lot of people would. I'm probably getting comments saying like, oh, I would have yelled and screamed at senior manager, but that's not my style as much. I let him know how displeased I was with this, and basically, he said, well, do you want to buy some laminate? Do you want to look at different laminates? And my wife was like, well, maybe we should look at what you have. And I said, hey, it's like, you know what I want to do? How much do we owe you right now? How much do we owe you for the tear out and the restocking fee that you're forcing us to pay? Because it's in the contract, right? It's in the contract. It's written in the contract. I can yell and scream about it, but we signed it. So he says, a figure that I'm not real pleased about, but he says a figure. He's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay this to you. We're going to pay you what we owe you. And then I'm going to leave here and we're never coming back. Like, I'll never do business with you again, blah, 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 blah. And, he's like, well, I'm sorry if things didn't work out the way you wanted. It's like, oh, are you surprised? Like, are you surprised? And whatever. Regardless, I left, and he knew I wasn't happy about it. But the point is, regardless, it doesn't matter if I'm happy or not. This doesn't matter where we're at right now. So that was about over a month ago. We have been living on just subfloors. And you know what that is? That's like, I always call it plywood. It's not really plywood. It's that glued, the wood chips that are all glued together. I forget the name of it offhand. I always call it I think it's PVC, but that's piping. That's not flooring. Right, it's OSB wood. OSB is the one I was looking for, and so that's what we've been basically living on. Now it gets worse than that, because not only that, but there's holes in it from all the water damage. But not only that, but we have been having all kinds of problems with our puppy dog, who's about 1.5 years old, and it's been all kinds of issues, like where we got to the point where he goes after my kids' feet all the time. Now, if you don't know, my older son is autistic, my younger son has ADHD. They don't really have the ability to just ignore him, which is what you pretty much need to do. Like, walk very slowly, no sudden movements. If he goes after your feet, you just freeze, right? They don't got that. It's not in them, and I can't blame them at all. And in fact, I don't really even blame the puppy. But he's not gotten better, and we've gone to puppy classes, numerous, and they're not cheap. And we've even had a private puppy trainer come into our house and help us with him. Again, really not cheap, but nothing's working. You know, we did all the training, we're doing everything that was suggested. And could I have done more? Yeah, I guess I could have. Our life is a complicated one with all the different various therapies and all the things that we go to. So there is a limited amount of time that I actually have and possess to do extra training, but we did quite a bit with this dog, and it didn't get better and better at all. So another thing that got kind of worse is the puppy learns at one point that he can jump over the fence into the neighbor's yard. And we have a big fence that we put in basically just for the dog. And once he learned that he can jump over, he cannot be contained any longer in our yard, which is a real problem, because then he has to be basically hooked up to a leash, like an outside leash, you know, one of those like metal stakes you drive in the ground. The dog has to be hooked up to one of those at all times. And if he's out there hooked up to a leash and I'm not standing there with him, he barks incessantly, constantly, all the time. It was getting worse and worse and worse. There were all these factors that were just getting worse and worse and worse. Plus, it was like we were getting all the negatives of having a dog, like a dog where you gotta, you know, get up really early in the morning and take him out and go for walks, all the sort of downsides. He, you know, can't play with the kids, everything, because he just goes after the heat. But we were getting none of the good parts of it. Like, he wouldn't sit with us or cuddle with us on the couch or anything. He wasn't that kind of dog. And at 1.5 years old, it wasn't improving at all. In fact, it was actually getting worse. And it got to the point where the kids are basically afraid of the dog, and I don't blame them at all. I don't really blame anyone. It's kind of a blameless crime, but it reached a boiling point where it was just too bad. So after a lot of deliberation, this was not an easy decision. I mean, a lot of deliberation between me and my wife, and involving kids in the talk and everything, we decided to rehome the dog. It was just, he's a lovely dog, but he's just not a dog for a family with young kids, especially young kids who have some distinct needs that the dog is not helping them meet. But then it actually gets worse. It gets worse because while we're in the state of living on floors that are unfinished floors for weeks and all that kind of stuff, we get this big storm in our neighborhood, and all of a sudden water is just coming in like crazy. Like, an amazing amount of water is just coming in under the window, not through the seal, but actually through like the window closing area. And that's a real big problem. So we did some checking and seeing what we can do about it. And basically our windows are about 25 years old, and they're original construction windows. And unfortunately, original construction windows are often kind of crappy. They're called construction grade for a reason. Like, they're the cheapest bottom of the barrel windows you can get. And we knew it was coming. We knew at some point we were going to replace the windows. I was hoping it wasn't absolutely the same week or two that we're doing the kitchen and the floors and all that stuff. This might be loud. No, it's not too bad, actually. So where does that leave us? Well, we had to get new windows. So now we're going to do windows. Windows are incredibly expensive. If you've never replaced windows, yikes, start saving now, everybody. If you have aging windows. So now we're into also additionally replacing windows. But that's not all. The day after the storm, we walk out in the yard. What do we find? We find shingles. Shingles everywhere. There's like 30 missing shingles from a roof. And when you're missing shingles, that's a like, fix it now, like right now issue, because water is going to be getting into your roof, and that's going to cause all kinds of more problems. So Now, in the same period, we're looking at new floors, new kitchen, new countertops, new cabinets, which is all planned, and new windows in the entire back of the house, and a new roof, which is, my head is spinning even just talking about it. This is what we're going through right now. In addition, the dog getting rehomed. Look, the dog has been gone now for 2 days. We found a lovely woman who's a retiree, no kids, or maybe she does, they're older, but no kids in the house. Single, lives by herself, is very active, walks a lot. I think it's going to be a dream home for all of her. What am I? I'm not even repairing my tools. Oh, are you serious? I'm just gaining levels for no reason. I'm 194. Episode 1, 194 levels. Ha ha! That's the new standard. Yeah, so that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So we rehomed the dog, and I gotta tell you, it's been, rehoming the dog is the first positive thing to happen in like a month in the house. Everything's good with the family and the kids and all that kind of stuff, so I don't want to be too negative on this because things could be a lot worse. The singer in my band just tonight told me about her cousin who has some real medical concerns going on right now. So I mean, I put everything in perspective. We're talking about our house and not someone's health. So I'm not overdoing it, but it is a big stressor these days, and it's someone that I wish was gone. But I have to say, not having the dog here in the house with all the issues that we had with him, especially with the kids, has been a real relief. Because basically what happened the last couple months with the dogs, I had to keep him on a leash in our house all the time when the kids were awake. Because if not, he would just go after the kids, and I couldn't get him away. I'd have to like reach down and grab his like harness thing to like pull him off the kids. He wasn't really biting. He wasn't biting the kids, but he was like puppy play. But it hurts. It hurts. You know, he's like a year and a half old, and he's like biting, but not like biting. You know, I mean, there's a difference. But there's not that big of a difference to my kids who are 4 and 6. They don't necessarily see the difference. They think, hey, this dog is biting me. They don't understand. He's just playing. They don't really get that distinction. And in fact, honestly, I didn't really get it when he was going after me either because it freaking hurt. Regardless, the dog has now been rehomed, and it was sad. I was the one who sort of handed him off, and I was really surprisingly sad. I didn't think I would be as sad as I was, but I was. I was kind of broken up about it, which is weird because I was really looking forward to shipping him out, but I was kind of sad. The kids were totally fine. Kids, you know, they didn't have much of a relationship with the dog because they couldn't be around him that much. So they were like, I was like, hey guys, Oliver's leaving. You know, are you sad? Like, no. And they weren't being jerks about it. They didn't have a relationship with that dog, so they couldn't really be sad about it. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm repairing my Ender, it's because I have my alt account, my camera account in the Nether standing at my Froglight farm, so my Guardian farm doesn't work when someone else is in the Nether. It kind of barely works, but like not well, so yeah, so that's what's going on here. So if I'm ever in the Nether with my camera account or whatever, it's just a lot faster to go to the Enderman farm than wait for very slowly spawning Guardians. That's kind of where we're at in the state of Fix's life. It's been incredibly stressful, which actually explains what else I want to talk about of what exactly is happening with Dominion, what exactly is happening with the Mars episode. That's coming out soon, regardless. But for any of my friends who've been playing on that server and seeing a lack of me, I have been mentally not in the best place. I'm sure you can understand why, as I just explained it all basically, but like I've not been in a mentally great place, and something about playing on a multiplayer server where, you know, you generally kind of need to be a little bit sort of up for it has just been not appealing, like in the maximum amount. You know what I mean? Like I can, when I'm playing my single player world, because especially I don't record my voice live, I record all that in post, so I could just be sort of myself and sort of talk about, well, not talk about anything, just sit there and think and be in my own head and have a good feeling about just playing and making progress in my YouTube thing and Minecraft world and all that kind of thing. It's been a better place for me to do kind of single player world while I'm going through all this mess and get my head sort of centered than it would have been to do a lot of multiplayer stuff. So Dominion is not gone. It's just I'm kind of not doing multiplayer or mod. I'm just kind of grinding away in this world, having a good time doing it, and feel like I'm affecting something in my life in a positive way, even if it's just, you know, this dumb Minecraft game that we all love so much, right? So that's what's going on, and I apologize. Any of my friends, you know, who I kept saying, yeah, guys, I'm gonna come back. I'm just kind of going through this metal thing right now, and I kept saying that because I kept thinking I was gonna come back, and then I didn't because things kept not improving. You know, I just wanted to sort of apologize because I don't like making promising and then not carrying through. That video is going to come out and it's awesome. The Mars base that we built is fantastic, and we still have a week left, so I am hoping to sort of bounce back and turn my frown upside down, if you will, and just sort of mentally bounce back on that. But you know, I just need to take a deep breather and try to figure out what exactly is going on. Also explains why I did a 100 days video, which I've not done in quite some time. I kind of thought I was done with those basically, but these bills are not getting paid by themselves, so I thought, hey, 100 days, remember me? I'm back. So yeah, I did one, which basically was just an episode of This World, honestly, but I went for a slightly different format and hoping basically that video does really well, for one thing, and secondly, I'm hoping that people who watch that video will then be inspired to stay on the series because they'll be, oh wait, this hardcore series is really cool. It's not just the modded made stuff or bunker or whatever the ones that people consistently ask for are. Hopefully they'll be in this world and check it out. That's sort of one of my dreams for that video, the Ancient City video. But regardless, that's going to do it for me today. Hopefully you enjoy this talky thing. I'm trying something new here. This is a brand new thing for me. We'll see how it goes, see if I can keep up with it, see how you guys like it, you guys and gals and folks. I hope very much you'll enjoy it, but we'll see. Time will tell. Okay, that's going to do it. I'll see you on the next one of these. And I'll see you on 1700 days fairly soon. I'm already about halfway through. Cool.